going to be a shorter one, but there's some interesting stuff. You guys are kind of a preview of a video I haven't made yet, but will be happening unless something else crazy. And we got Pokemon Presents tomorrow, so who the heck knows? Some crazy stuff could be going down. So maybe I end up not making a video on this. But let me grab this thing to share with you guys here. So what we're looking at right now are some new leaks for Switch 2. This comes from the person that supposedly spent 40 grand on the Switch 2 and the dock to sell the ability to test fit your stuff to accessory makers. And he provided CAD model, like brand new CAD models of the Nintendo Switch, like right away or like within days of the purchase or whatever. But he, those models weren't really that exciting because everything shown in those models is what Nintendo showed in the trailer, right? There was nothing new really for us. Yeah, it was more accurate than the prior CAD models, but for us fans, didn't really matter, right? We already saw, we've seen the front, we've seen the top, we've seen the back, we've seen a whole 360 of the Switch 2. So we know what it looks like, but we didn't get a massive look at the dock. Okay. We have had leaked pictures of the dock in the past that were really exciting, but we haven't seen the full dock officially. So now he did CAD models of the dock itself. And again, nothing too crazy here. There's only one part that's a little interesting. This is just the front side, nothing too exciting. Looks like the front side we already saw from Nintendo. This is the side look with the the two USB ports there. Again, this looks a lot like the leak stuff we had before, right? So, it's kind of just confirming that those leaks were obviously legit. You see, where the back piece would go on and everything. You see a little bit of interesting stuff down in the slot area. That's probably just for positioning purposes when you put your Switch in there. You see the back, you see the clear Ethernet, HDMI, and the power. Nothing too exciting. You see the air vents and everything, exactly like what the leaked images from like what Next Handheld was showing in Laura K. Buzz. But here we see a top-down look, which we haven't seen yet. And a couple interesting notes. Obviously, there still have like those little jet-out rails that you have in your current dock that kind of help line it up. You see what looks like probably a rubber stopper at the bottom on each side. And then you see, obviously, the middle mechanism, which has the USB-C in the middle. Then these two little things, which we've already seen the bottom of a Switch 2. So, like, that's obviously, these are the things that line up at the bottom. This is just how the Switch, how the Switch lines up in there. So nothing too exciting here until you get to this right here. Apparently, there's this pattern on the bottom. Now you can see like the 4 circles here that are probably like, if they're not screw holes, then they're feet, yeah. But we have like this
like a little rubber.
So we have like these circle patterns because like I kept thinking, well, if those are feet, then those are obviously, they're like little rubber feet that hold it in place. Because my thought originally when I saw this circle pattern, I was like, oh, maybe this is just like a rubber print thing. But no, if they have feet, then are these holes, because again, this is just a model, are these holes potentially air vents on the bottom? Because I honestly don't know what else it would be. Like literally. So that's like the only interesting thing because we've never seen the bottom. So I unless you guys have any other ideas, air vents are the only thing I can come up with. But maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's just a design pattern.
Yeah, I think what you said makes sense. I feel like it's either grip or it's air vents. Just like, you've got the speaker looking Xbox Series S where you have that circle with all the ventilation.
I'm looking at mine right now on my desk and I'm like, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's immediately what I thought of, was just that kind of speaker looking design.
Yeah.
If this thing's going to be a lot more powerful, extra ventilation is a good thing. So, well,
I also consider that we know, but now that we've seen the Switch 2, that the air intakes are on the bottom, right? So it sucks in air from the bottom. And if you look at this top down, you can kind of see these cutouts where the air intakes would be. And I'm wondering if they're, instead of us assuming that the air is being drawn from the back, because we've seen those vents, what if it's actually being drawn from the bottom? And that's why this is potentially air vents, because they're actually just directly sucking it up from there. And they just decided to put as much air vents on this thing as possible to give it all the possibility to get air from anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, let it breathe as much as it can. Who cares where the air
Yeah.
comes from?
Help prevent the warping too. You know,
Yeah.
that was happening on the OG Switch, getting that curve.
Because like if the docked mode is as powerful as has been speculated in the past, then I can see them being like, no, we got to let this dock breathe as much as possible. We're going to give them air vents everywhere. But again, it's still just like we don't know, right?
Yeah.
But it's new. It's something new. And that's what's really cool. It creates that speculation. I've even looked in the chat, not really seeing a whole lot of speculation exactly on what it is. Just people joking around about, oh, I can connect the Legos to it. Maybe. Maybe that's the play. Maybe the play is you can attach this to Legos because now they have Nintendo Legos, right? Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Create your own dock out of Legos by surrounding the real dock. Maybe that's the play. Could be. Okay. So this though brought up some other things that have been going on. And there was this podcast that Kit and Krista did where they brought on a former Nintendo employee. This has been making headlines everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, literally everywhere. It's been on every major website, IGN, everything. Because everyone's treating this guy like gospel. But I think they're paying attention to the wrong part. Okay. Because everyone's focused. So Sean worked in their marketing and sales department in various aspects and knows how Nintendo releases products. He was there for the release of Switch and Switch OLED and all that stuff. Right. So very knowledgeable on how Nintendo handles releasing products. And so everyone's focusing on his predictions, right? He's predicting a mid-June release. What a shocker. It's almost like that's, you know, he gave reasoning for why he thinks Nintendo would do that, having to do with, you know, kids getting into the summer, building hype with kids, want to bring it into the school year. And on top of that, people have a lot of time to play during the summer. It just makes a lot of sense to do an early summer release. Fine. Makes total sense. Same reason a lot of people think it would make sense. And it gives them 2 sellout periods, guaranteed, launch and holiday. Great. Worked well for Switch. Why not do it for Switch too? But he also did a price thing where he said, you know, he can't see this thing being any higher than $449. He really thinks more realistically $399. Okay, cool. So he's right where everyone else is speculating. Fine. I don't think that was really that newsworthy. That's just speculation. I actually like the thing he said that he knows and isn't speculation. And everyone's ignoring it. And I think they're ignoring it because they want to keep making headlines. So we speculated in the past, and I've definitely done in videos. And for years, do retailers really know the price point of stuff before it's revealed? The answer is technically yes, but not right now. Those listings you see at Best Buy, the listings on the GameStop backend, Costco, none of them actually know the price of Switch 2. And he said this like definitively. They would not know at all. They also would not know when the system's coming out. He said at best, if there had been any communication, they would have just told them a general quarter of the year. And that would be it. They wouldn't know an exact release date. They wouldn't know pricing. Not right now. Now, when would they then? Because they're got to know eventually. Do they just find out when the public does? No. They find out about a week before the public does. That way they can actually be prepared for pre-orders. So that's stuff that should be reported. I don't know why that's not the headline news. That's stuff like he would have direct knowledge. No, Nintendo does not communicate at all with these retailers about the pricing or the release date until a week before Nintendo's about to reveal it to the public. Okay, when's it being revealed to the public? April 2nd. Okay, so they'll know at the end of next month. So yes, there could be some leaks from retail at the end of next month that we should pay attention to. But, you know, all the ones we've gotten so far are just literally people making it up. People who work there, trying to get hype, trying to get people to pay attention to them. So this also, by the way, changes my coverage in the future. Now that I have this confirmed by somebody who worked at Nintendo that no, they absolutely don't tell retailers this. I won't be covering any more of these retail price leaks or dates on my channel in the future. With a caveat. The problem is we don't know when Nintendo's going to release new product. They shadow dropped the announcement of the Switch OLED. They shadow dropped the announcement of the Switch Lite, and retailers knew the week before. So how do I know when I can pay attention and when I can't? And I think the only way to know is if it's hinting at a new product.
Hmm.
If it's a leak that hints at an unannounced new product, that okay. But when it's an announced product like Switch 2 is right now, no. So that's the way I'm going to kind of handle things moving forward. And I don't know about you guys on the podcast. If you guys still want to speculate, we can still speculate on price points and release dates. I just don't know. Obviously, we should probably leave out the retail stuff. That's my opinion, of course. Sean doesn't work at Nintendo anymore, and maybe they've changed in the couple of years since he left. Maybe they are telling retailers everything. But I kind of feel like this kind of fits with what I suspected, that these companies aren't telling retail shit.
Yeah.
Because they have no reason.
I'd pay attention more when it's dawn of the first day and only 72 hours remain until the Switch 2 Direct.
And you know what? He made another comment in there. Because everyone loves Walmart Canada.
Yeah,
I think they're leaking directs.
Oh, yeah.
Someone's like, we hate Walmart Canada. We ain't telling them anything. So like, you want to link them to a direct? They're just following the rumors like everybody else. Like, so it was kind of funny because like he has direct knowledge that Nintendo doesn't tell Walmart Canada anything because they leak everything. So they don't tell Walmart Canada anything. So when everyone like leak, oh, Walmart Canada said something, so something's gonna happen. No, they're just following the rumors, guys. That's all they're doing. What we're all doing and banking on. Oh, Nate the Hate said something. Yeah, this is probably happening this month. Let's drop a Nintendo Direct tweet hype, and then get credited like we know something. Literally, they don't know anything, and he literally confirmed straight up they don't even talk to Walmart Canada, and he worked at Nintendo America. They don't even talk to him. So, yeah, when you see retailers being that bold, yeah, Nintendo ain't talking to him. You see people like D-Brand going out there and being like, yeah, we know we have exact CAD models of the Switch. You think Nintendo's talking to them? No. They might have real CAD models, but it ain't from Nintendo. So like, that's what I'm saying. Like, so I don't want to shoot down everyone. I don't want to shoot down people's hype when they see Walmart Canada do stuff. Just know they're doing it based on the rumors, the same rumors we're already reporting and talking about anyways. They don't actually know if anything's going to happen. Did they put on a direct tweet this month? I don't even know. It would have been hilarious if they did. And then there's no direct. I didn't look. I didn't bother to look at Walmart Canada put on a direct tweet this month. Would have been funny. And maybe they only follow the rumors from like Nate the Hate, just so they seem even more credible because Nate the Hate usually is right. Anyway, so I thought that's the stuff that should be reported and talked about. I just wanted to bring it up. Do you guys have any thoughts on this stuff?
No, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense, honestly. A company's going to want to prevent as many leaks as possible, keep things as close to their chest as possible till the right time. Obviously, they don't want that price out there until they're ready to announce it. So giving retailers notice within like that 24 or 48 hour window sounds right. Like I don't know. It's a weird thing to think that people would be leaking it out months in advance. We don't even know when the release date is yet. Yeah. So I think it makes solid sense.
I agree. I don't see why Nintendo would tell retailers they can't be trusted. We all know that.
Yeah,
we live in an era where everything gets leaked. Everyone wants to, get street cred on the internet, on social media, and leak things out. No one cares if they lose their job over it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
not in retail.
No, not in retail. And I can't blame them. But the point is that I would not see them telling any of the retailers early. They're going to find out maybe a few days before, again, because of pre-orders, because you got to get that stuff set up in the background. You guys both know that. We all know that.
Yeah. And they got to make sure we got to have staff that day. Managers, you got to maybe work a double that day for pre-order purposes,
Yeah. All that makes sense. I watched the whole episode, and I thought that was probably the most interesting piece of information as well.
Mm-hmm.
He did mention June and the price point, and his speculation is the same as ours. I didn't glean anything new from it.
Yeah, there's nothing really that insightful about it. It was just
it wasn't, but I appreciate it. The conversation and listening. Yeah. And it helps to know that we're just completely on track and we don't work there. So that's cool.
Yeah.
We never worked there, but we know exactly. We have a very, very, very good idea of what's going on.
Yeah. And
There's
how,
confirmation.
yeah, we got confirmation of like a lot of things. I always suspected retail didn't know much, but you know, without knowing, all right, we'll talk about it. But now we know. I think for me, like, yeah, it could just confirmed a lot of things that I've said and talked about in the past. It's really nice to have some of that confirmation and even some of like how he says Nintendo's probably thinking. That's how we've talked about how we thought maybe Nintendo was thinking. So that was kind of neat. But I think for me, what frustrated me was just the actual news in here is being ignored to talk about the price point and the release date, which this guy admitted he doesn't know and has no direct knowledge on. So
I
he's
know.
guessing like all of us. So why is that report worthy? Because he used to work at Nintendo. Okay, well, Kit and Krista have given guesses too. I don't see you reporting on that.
I know.
Yeah.
So like, it's kind of like, why? I mean, we all know why they're ignoring the real news so they can keep making those reports and keep getting those clicks. They don't want to spread the word that retailers don't know anything.
Exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, look, guys, admittedly, that hurts me as a channel saying that, hey, I now know I can't report on it because I know it's a lie. And if I know it's a lie, I can't put it out there. I can't give that energy. So it actually hurts my channel because it gives me less content to make in terms of that stuff. But I'd rather be honest, you know.
Mhm.
So that's kind of
Yeah.
what sucks is I wish it would have been more widely reported. By the way, I'm not claiming nobody reported on it. It just you weren't seeing the IGNs talk about it. You weren't like, no.
Yeah.
The reputable outlets that should be reporting the real news from the show didn't. They
Yeah.
reported speculation as news, which I guess
Yeah.
we've gotten used to at this point. It's kind of what everyone's doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyways,
If there's anything that the retailers know, it's right now, it's fake leaks that Nintendo's providing them to weed out the leakers and find out where all this horrible shit came from with their console leaking early.
yeah. And again, as the guy said, it is possible they've been told a quarter. Like it is possible Nintendo, you know, in the past has communicated a quarter as an example for like the Switch OLED. So it's possible that they might know a general 3-month window of release, but that would be it. And it wouldn't. Okay, your general 3-month window is what? June, July, August? Cool. Well, that's what everyone's thinking anyway. So like, what are we talking? What are we doing? May, June, July? Okay, cool. That's what everyone's thinking anyways. Anyways, again, this isn't any shade at the guy who said it. This is just how the reports were handled.
Exactly.
The podcast itself was very good. I want everyone actually, if you haven't watched it, go check it out. It was very insightful because one thing I like with the Kit and Krista podcast is, look, we've kind of heard everything from them about the behind the scenes at Nintendo, what they know. But what's really neat is they know a lot of former employees that can come in and bring knowledge they don't have.
Yeah.
And that's cool. So you learn a lot of behind the scenes stuff in the Switch era, especially. And that's probably how Nintendo's still behaving today because a lot of that was still under the current president. So, so there was some other neat stuff here. Speaking of reporting, Datre81, fellow YouTuber, you guys should go check him out as well. He discovered NVIDIA employee who has seemingly been working on the Nintendo Switch 2 chip since October of 2017. He is the lead designer on the CPU for that chip. Now, there's been a lot of pushback on this being like, oh, well, you can't guarantee that's what he was doing, or you can't. Okay. You're 100% correct in that I can't tell you because I'm not the one who's working on it. I can only read a LinkedIn profile and come to my own conclusions, right? That's all anyone can really do, right? We're not that person. And so people thinking, well, there's no way they're working on Switch 2 in 2017. Well, I've drug up some quotes from Nintendo, one from this generation and one from the Iwata era. So let's go with the one from this generation. All right. So this quote came from Toru Yamashita, Deputy General Manager of Nintendo Technology and Development Department. Pretty important person in the hardware department, right? He's the general manager of their general technology development at the whole company. Yeah, he probably knows what he's talking about. And he said this in an Ask Nintendo interview back in 2021. At Nintendo, we tend to say that whenever we release new hardware, we immediately start thinking about the next one. But this doesn't only mean that we're working on new product development, but we're also constantly working on what can still be done to products even after they are released. So what he's basically saying is we immediately start working on the next product, but we're also thinking about the products we release in between. Your Switch Lights, your Switch OLEDs, right? The revision products. So he's basically saying, as soon as the product's out, we're already working on the next one. But we're also working on some revisions for the current. So that's just someone at Nintendo straight up saying, absolutely, we work on stuff right away. He just told you straight out in 2021. So absolutely, Switch 2 was being worked on in 2017. But if you don't want to say that, oh, it was just a conversation about Switch 2, well, let's go back even further. So to further hammer this home, Satoru Iwata, the late Satoru Iwata, brought this up during the Wii era in an Iwata Asks. I missed the Iwata Asks. The Ask Nintendo things are good. The Iwata Asks was just different, man. It just was, because Satoru Iwata was a game developer.
Mm-hmm.
So he asked like pertinent questions that fans would actually want to know about game development. The current Ask series Nintendo does now and then is still good, but it's very marketing focused. It doesn't doesn't dive too deep into the deep details. Still fun though. I'm glad Nintendo at least kept the series going. That being said, Genu Takada, back in an Iwata Ask segment, back during the Wii era, he was the general manager of Integrated Research and Development Division at that time. So again, involved in being a manager for helping develop new hardware, said the following: we started developing Wii, and this is important, right after we launched the GameCube. As soon as we complete one system, we work on the next. Yeah. So this isn't like a new thing for Nintendo. No. So even if this employee didn't start working on the CPU in 2017, the system was being worked on in 2017. So the reason that this all matters is because when you think about, there is something unique about this situation. I want to be very clear, because one thing I left out of the quote from the Wii era was that he went on to say that we're always trying to take current technology and adapt it in a new way. And the one thing about the quote that that the potential of the 2017 thing is the chip being made for Switch 2, the T239, doesn't exist in any other product, which means it's a fully custom chip from the ground up. And if it's been in creation since 2017, the idea would be there's no way to approximate its performance because it's not comparable to anything on the market, including the T234. That was like the big takeaway from the Doc Tray video. And this would be the first time in Nintendo's history that this is the key part. Nintendo's never used a fully custom from the ground up chip before. It's always been something current adapted to them. So people talk about, oh, they just use it off the shelf. You're right. It was a mostly off the shelf Tegra X1. But all their prior systems were pretty much off the shelf stuff too. And that was admitted by, what was his name again? That was admitted by Genu Takada, that we adapting things that currently exist to our use. Well, back in 2017, you know what didn't exist? The 3000 series GPUs. You know what also didn't exist? The A78C, that's reportedly the CPU in the system. Those came out in 2021 and 2022. They didn't exist in 2017. So that's the interesting part here, is even if you want to say we can't read the LinkedIn profile correctly, Switch 2's been in the works for 8 years. Just factually. Nintendo told us in an interview in 2021, even though they didn't say Switch 2 because it wasn't announced yet. And in the Iwata Ask series, they told us that this is just what Nintendo does. Product comes out, we work on that. And I bet you this is true of almost every company, by the way. Any hardware company. And then, in fact, if you're Apple, right now you're probably working on the next 4 iPhones. Not just the next one, you know.
Well, it's like, what do you do after the new console's out?
Yeah, the hardware team just stopped working.
You just stop working for like
take 4 years off.
4 years?
Yeah.
No, for real.
And then
people got to think about that. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't wait 5 years and go, so what do we do now?
Yeah, it's about
what
time.
Do we do next?
You don't lay them off.
Maybe we should think of something, guys. Yeah. No, this one seems like a no-brainer. Yeah, of course. You finish your project. Now you dive deep into R&D. And especially with Nintendo, a company that constantly innovates and strives to bring new ways to play for gamers, even with the Switch 2, which is probably their most iterative console since the launch of the Wii, you better believe they did R&D and probably did tons of experimentation that we'll never know about new and unique ways to play. Obviously, mouse mode landed somewhere in that pass, and maybe the Switch 2 has features that we just don't know about yet that we'll find out on the big direct coming in April. But R&D is huge. Didn't Nintendo also just open up a huge building specifically for R&D? Am I getting my facts wrong here? I feel like they not that long ago they opened a big R&D building.
They have a second building for their HQ. It hasn't opened yet. I think it opens this year. It was supposed to
Got
open
it.
2 years,
Okay.
but it's been delayed because for whatever reasons. And that was because they outgrew their current headquarters. And a
Right.
huge part of that was going to be for their R&D team, but then they were still going to put game development in there as well. Which I don't know. Nintendo's going to move people around. It's on their main Kyoto campus, so and it's officially called a campus. It'll finally have multiple buildings. Nintendo, yeah, they bought up a lot. They bought up a ton of land around their headquarters, like it was like 8 years ago. I think this next building is just the beginning of a much more long-term, really building out that area to be like the HQ of Nintendo, kind of like Apple and Microsoft have kind of done, like really build that out.
Dude,
Who
so
knows?
cool though,
Yeah.
if you think about it.
Right now,
The
their
headquarters.
next headquarters is in Tokyo, and I don't think they're going to close that one down because they have a lot of development studios that work out of it. But yeah, kind of cool. Nintendo expanding at a time when other people are shrinking. Fun fact: Nintendo over the course of the Switch era has increased their employees by 2,000. That's insane. Kind of crazy. Consider the industry we're in, man.
Yeah, mass shrinkage.
Yeah, in 2025, there's like a site that's tracking like all the layoffs. It's crazy. I saw it in the RGT's video today. I was like, dude, 2 months in.
Yeah.
So
That's
many.
so wild.
That's why I saw it in his video today. You know, I was talking to, again, this is probably the stuff Michaela just doesn't want to like talk about. I'm talking to her about this at like 11 at night in bed, and she's like not even awake. I'm like, babe, do you remember when we were in the living room and I was watching that game show on TV, the live stream? It was the Sony State of Play, and I saw Suicide Squad. And do you remember it was the first time we saw it, and I told you immediately that this game is going to bomb so bad that people are going to lose their jobs over it. I was like, remember? And she's like, yeah, you know, she's like half asleep. Yeah, I remember. I'm like, it's still happening. Cause you know, I kept her up to date when the game came out and it bombed. And then I was like, babe, I'm like, they just closed 3 studios today. One of them, the San Diego studio, has been developers for over 30 years, that studio. I'm like, all because of Suicide Squad. I'm like, I told you it's suicide. Like literally, I told her this game is suicide. You can't do this. It's horrible. Like,
Stash,
it was so obvious.
does she like video games?
She games. I mean, she ain't, you know,
Okay.
not like us.
It's so great if she didn't like games at all.
Yeah, but I was like, I was just getting into it last night, telling her about it, and she's literally like 95% sleeping.
Yeah,
That's so good. I love it.
Really give a shit.
I was just mad though. I'm like, you know what the fuck are you releasing this game for? Right?
You could
Give us a Batman Arkham game. That's what we want. You would have made money on it. You release this horse shit because you just want to make money.
Dude, it's the suits.
It's the suits. I know it is. And RGT is 100% right. And I have been saying this for years. I don't go on my channel and talk about it, but I've been saying it for freaking years. It's so annoying, dude. It's always the suits. And I know this from working all the years in corporate. People don't know what they're doing. I had to help so many people in corporate who had no idea what the fuck they're doing. It's like, you can't go talk to people like this. You have no idea how to do their job. You can't tell them how to do their job. You don't even know how to do it. And so I was always the source because I'm the one who started from the bottom and went up. So I did all these jobs. And you had all these people who worked in corporate who have never done these jobs. It's like, well, we can save face by asking Steve, you know? It's like, fucking hey, dude. I can't stand it. I get heated about it just because I worked in corporate so long, and like I know all this shit's happening in video games right now. I just know it is. I've seen it. I've seen this movie.
See, this is what I appreciate about Nintendo. People that made the game decisions all came from making games.
Absolutely. They don't focus on it when Nintendo makes a game. It's not like, how does this increase revenue and company growth? It's, is this game fun? Are people going to like this? Are people going to have fun? Fun is at the core of their development. It's what's lacking in AAA gaming. It's, how can we make the most money? What's the quickest route to money? Games as service. Even though it's like your chance of survival, and they cannibalize each other, and they take studios who have no experience with online games and throw them into the furnace where they're like, I don't know if this is a good idea. Shut up and do what your corporate masters say. It's an actual conversation.
They got to stop chasing trends from 5 years ago. Trends are trends for a reason. It's because you caught lightning in a bottle, and now it's trending.
Yep.
That doesn't mean you go out and try and make a game today with how long game development takes now. It's like, what kind of brain do you have, dude? That is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that is so stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who thought
But we all know that
was a good idea? You're gonna chase Paladins and Overwatch 10 years late.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
It's brutal. You're playing catch up.
Well, $400 million budget game? No, you chase it with some like cheap indie title with a unique concept. Not a AAA 400 million. You're not gonna. No one's gonna care. They have established games they're already playing. They're not gonna. Well, Marvel Rivals. Okay, that's a rare one, but it's because
it's a massive license.
Yeah, it's the license.
Yeah.
It's so huge. You didn't have that kind of license. You were trying to do something new with a new IP. No, stop.
Yeah.
You got to make games for the right reasons, right? The right reasons. You got to make video games because you're trying to genuinely make a great video game, a great work of art. And when you do things for the right reasons, money follows. But when you do it in the wrong order, which is I want to make money and I don't really care how great the game is, I'm just trying to see how I can make the most money. That's when everything screws up, man. That's the wrong formula, yet that's the formula that's being used by a lot of these AAA developers. And again, I agree with RGT in that things have been falling apart for a long time when it comes to AAA development. Like there is a crash within AAA development. That doesn't mean everything, and it doesn't mean everywhere.
Yeah, I don't think the industry is crashing, but the
industry's not. No,
the AAA aspect is.
No, and everyone should be thanking indie games.
Yeah,
Indies helped a lot to keep things like level-headed and afloat.
Ian is dire, and then you have Nintendo that didn't chase anything and just
we just want to make great games.
Hey, single player games are dying out. We got to chase multiplayer. Look, we'll have our multiplayer. We're still making single player games. And our single player games are selling 30 million.
Yeah,
like,
dude, Nintendo was the company that we'll make a battle royale game. We'll do Mario 35 and Tetris 99 and F-Zero 99. Like games that are friggin' fun, kick ass, and aren't gonna tank companies. You know what I mean?
And kind of
awesome.
And they build on a concept Nintendo did back in the 90s with the World Championships.
Sure.
Like it's just building on something Nintendo already knows people like, and it looks nothing like other battle royale games. Like, yeah, it is, guys. Tetris 99 is a battle royale game.
Yep, through and through.
But it's nothing like any of the ones you think about when you think about the Fortnites and the War Zones. It's nothing like those games. It's so
rad.
Fundamentally different. It feels weird to call it a battle royale, but that is what it is technically. And obviously with really popular IP, again. Why could Marvel Rivals succeed where Concord couldn't? Really, really popular IP with characters people want to play. That was the difference there. Yeah. Trying to establish a new IP like Nintendo did with Splatoon. Splatoon was a risk. That wasn't a high budget game. That was a risk for Nintendo, the original Splatoon. And it paid off. But they didn't do it by making a $400 million budget game. Like they were probably going to make their money back on it if it only sold 2 million. Yeah. So.
And it worked. It was a game that worked.
Yeah, it worked. And again, obviously its own unique concept, Squid Kid Inc. Oh, that's fine. Yeah. But it's just kind of like, I'm not saying Nintendo doesn't sometimes dabble in chasing certain
Sure.
trends, but they do it cheaply. They don't put all their eggs in that basket and then have a massive red mark on their finances when that game bombs, because they didn't stop making all the successful games along the way, and they're not over budgeting. Like one of my biggest things in the AAA industry is the over budgeting. Well, you don't understand.
Insane.
It's so hard. We need to spend, 200, 300 million to make Spider-Man 2. I'm like, okay, licensing fees aside, why? Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 just came out and it had a budget of like 10 million.
Exactly.
And that game's
Yeah.
incredible and doing incredibly well and already profitable right now at 2 million sales. What are we doing? Didn't the developers of Hellblade leave AAA to prove you didn't need to spend that kind of money to make a AAA game? And then they made Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, and it went on to sell millions and make them a shitload of money to the point that Microsoft actually wanted to buy them because they just proved a concept that everyone knows is possible. But for some reason, I don't know if it's the suits. It probably is the suits making these decisions that we need to hire hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of developers to make this game and push the visuals. And you got to get the graphics to the max. And you got to push the new 5090 to the extreme for your 8K that less than a 0.092% of people are ever going to experience. For what? For what? Why can't you make games for 50 million and less that are in the AAA space? There's people out there that say Nintendo games aren't AAA because they're not 200, 300, 400. Fuck that. Don't be AAA then. It's failing. That is failing. There's only very select games that can do it. Call of Duty, again, and they didn't start out doing it. They built themselves up, establishing the IP to afford that budget. The Zelda team, that is actually one Nintendo does. It looks like spend about 150, 200 million, AAA kind of money. But they built up to it.
But even so, I'm glad you mentioned Zelda, because it's wild that we live in a world where Breath of the Wild needs to sell less copies to be successful than so many other lesser experiences that are AAA games. Like even I think it was this one's a bit older, but the Tomb Raider reboot, that was fantastic, by the way. But that first game, if I remember, had to sell way more copies than Breath of the Wild ended up needing to sell to be profitable. Like that's wild to me.
Like 5 million or something. I think it had to hit to be profitable. And they were pretty confident they'd hit 5. They didn't know it was going to be as big as it was. But and Tears of the Kingdom had a higher budget than Breath of the Wild, but that's because of the success of Breath of the Wild. They figured, well, we're selling 10 million at least. Let's give it a bigger budget. Again, Nintendo giving budgets appropriate to the sales of it. And when it's something new, like an ARMS, you use a much smaller budget and you see what happens.
Test the waters.
You test the waters. It takes off. You put more into the next game. That's what Nintendo's strategy has always been. And sometimes they don't have to put more. But then you look at the next 3D Mario. Guess what? The last 3D Mario is the best-selling 3D Mario of all time. Now they spent 8 years making the next one. It's going to be the biggest budget 3D Mario game of all time. Why? Because the last one sold 25 million, unlike any 3D Mario ever. So they're going to put way more money into the next one because the last game already afforded the budget for this game. This game could sell 0 copies, and they're probably still ahead off Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
That's how you do your budgeting.
Yeah.
So this might be the first ever $100 million Mario game. And you know what? They're probably going to cook and sell 10, 15, 20 million and be profitable at 8 million in sales. Like the budgets have gotten out of hand. The chasing also, I know some Western developers, the weird way they develop games. They'll have like this studio over here develops like, okay, you're developing the core animations, but this one over here, you're working on the multiplayer. And then this one over here, you're working on the story and you're working on the walking animation. This one over here, you're actually working on the textures, and they work in completely different parts of the world.
And then staple it together.
After like 3 years, now you got to bring it all together and make it a cohesive game. I'm like, what are we doing?
Frankenstein.
No wonder the games are broken.
Yeah.
What are we doing? That can't be video. Well, literally, that's rumored to be what Bandai Namco was attempting to do with Metroid Prime 4. That they had like 3 studios and trying to bring it together, and Nintendo's like, what is this?
I hate the stigma that's been created with the new generation consoles around AA games, because AA games are rad. They're so rad, and they're so healthy for a console. One of the worst things that Sony ever did with PS5, in my opinion, was they basically got rid of their big like double A games push. They got rid of a bunch of their Japanese studios. They're like, we want the biggest, best, most cinematic, most powerful games you've ever seen. And then I think about a series like, and I really hope we get a dump of all these on Switch too, because I think it would do fantastic. The Yakuza series, which has always been kind of double A. They never went outside of their budget, and now look at it. They had a game that could have been a game of the year. The Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, extreme popularity. The games are getting bigger and better. Japanese studios rock. I don't know why Sony especially has abandoned that. Nintendo's smart. They've got all those great AA games to fill in the blanks. Because big games take work. Your big mainline Zelda game takes work. Your big 3D Mario mainline game takes work. It takes time. How do we fill in the gaps? We put in excellent AA games like Bayonetta that kick ass.
Yeah.
So gotta support AA, because so many of them are so good. They don't have all the prettiest textures, but ultimately, is that really what matters, or is it your experience and the fun you're having?
I mean, look, the best thing that happened to Sony was Astrobot last year.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the first AA game in ages. And it won the Game of the Year. It beat out all the big AAAs.
Yep.
Why? Because they made an incredibly fun 3D platformer at a time when Nintendo is seemingly the only company doing it, besides some indies. And it's awesome. It's amazing. It's fun. And it reviewed well. Now, did it have the greatest sales? No, 1.5 million. But you know what they said? They were profitable at 1.5 million. Imagine, Sony. Profits. I know. You have a hard time with that sometimes in your gaming space. You're 31 billion in debt. Profits. Sounds good to me. So it looks good on the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
I
want to throw one extra thing in here, just because I said there's a comment that says just because you hate AAA games doesn't mean these devs should stop making it. I want to clarify. I have no hate for AAA games. I love AAA games. So, some of my favorite games over the last couple of years have been AAA. The Final Fantasy games that they've redone that are stunning and hit all the
Final Fantasy 7, remake, rebirth.
Absolutely.
The Last of Us. I loved part 1, part 2. I play all the we play all the video games. We're not talking about
Hogwarts Legacy
AAA game. Hey, we're talking about big bloated budgets and how one bad release can tank
the whole studio,
all these other studios. And it's unfortunate because it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that bloated. And you can look at other developers as a template to emulate off of their success. Like, hey, how can this developer with, only 20% of the amount of employees that this company has, and they're making all this money and their games are selling consistently high numbers, and we have hundreds more employees and we're failing. Like, it doesn't have to be that bloated, and it doesn't have to be that way. There's templates out there to follow, is what we're saying. So I don't think any of us have any hate for AAA games. Ever.
No, what's happening?
I mean, bigger and better is great.
Yeah, what's happening now is a repercussion of the industry going in a singular direction for too long.
Yeah,
chasing the same things for too long. It worked really well during the 360, PS3, and even the PS4 era. It worked really well to big budget, throw your people at it. The games didn't take 6 years to make. They were taking 3 to 4 years. You were getting them out a little bit quicker. You were seeing sales returns quicker, and there weren't you weren't necessarily chasing games as a service at the time either. And it worked, but it worked in the present. It wasn't very forward thinking. You were so worried about today's profits instead of 10 years down the road, thinking, is this sustainable 10 years from now? No, it's proven it's not. And that's what's happening. And again, for certain franchises, absolutely. The Call of Duty stuff, absolutely. The biggest budget game in the world is going to be GTA 6. Absolutely can justify it. You sell 200 million copies of a game, you have an unlimited budget. That's life. That's fine.
Yeah.
But those are the exceptions.
Yeah.
No, you think, does anyone think they're spending up, because this might be $1 billion game, GTA 6 potentially spent $1 billion on development. That's crazy.
I know, seriously.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that, but yeah.
They made like hundreds of billions on GTA 5. So like drop in the bucket for Rockstar. But here's the thing. You think they're spending that kind of money on a new IP? No. Hell, fuck no. They're not stupid. I'll put $1 billion into a new IP. That would maybe sink Rockstar in general when that IP doesn't make that money back. They're not stupid. So, and that's an example of a company that does have big budgets, but they didn't start that way. GTA started small teams, small budgets, worked their way up. Red Dead started small, worked their way up.
They exploded.
Bully was made with a small team, small budget. Like, that's how you start new IPs. You don't try to go shoot for the moon with your very first game in a new IP. Even like Black Myth Wukong, great example. That was a smaller team in China, 25 million in sales. The next game is going to have a bigger budget. That's how you do it. You build off the success. You don't invest hundreds of millions into an unknown.
Yeah. Like I think specifically what we're talking about also is like AAA, big budget, trend chasing, live service.
Just
how can I milk the most out of my customer bullshit is what is really
gotcha
the industry. Yes.
Because they make me lots of money now. Okay, but when people are tired of that, what's left a decade from now?
Yeah.
The next game, are people going to put up with this bullshit for another game? No, they're not. They're just not. They're not going to. Look, yeah, Battlefront, amazing Star Wars franchise. Yeah, the game's fun to play. Ruined by your gotcha mechanic microtransaction bullshit.
Yep.
If that's in the next game, your sales are going to be halved, if not worse.
Yeah, we just want actual video games. Just give us video games, okay? Don't give us a video game that has sales pitches everywhere. Like I don't want to be hit with a splash page every time I sign into NBA 2K asking me if I want to buy these packs, and I have to literally wait for the splash page to load so I can press no.
Yeah, I know.
If I press X too fast, it'll take me into it to almost buy it. I'm like, God, stop! Like everywhere, bro. We don't want this. I already bought the game
all the time.
Yeah, just let me play the game. Just let me play.
Didn't realize it was. Just wait. I heard somewhere that EA had a brilliant idea of actually bringing live commercials into the games.
I heard that.
Yeah,
like
Netflix with ads now with Madden as well.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah,
they're gonna start doing product placement and stuff.
Like,
dude, imagine if you got like prescription commercials.
Like,
those are the worst.
If Madden was advertising tonight's Thursday night football game, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, you're you're based on this product.
I mean, product placements, I don't have an issue with. Like if they put like a ad in the background of the game, that's not bad.
Yeah.
But when they interrupt your game to show you an actual fucking commercial, that's when I have a problem.
Yeah,
Same.
I don't need to have you play NBA 2K and you have the announcers talking to them. But hey, but first, a message from our sponsors. I mean, this better be funny or some shit. No, it's a real ad. Get the fuck out of my game. What are you doing?
Right.
Yeah, like if I got a halftime show sponsored by Pfizer or some shit, I'd be like, I'm uninstalling this game.
I'm like, it's fine if you want to say, hey, here's a halftime show. This halftime show is sponsored by Verizon. Okay. Now don't go to a commercial. Don't you dare bring up that. Fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to say it's sponsored by, this
sponsored by
halftime show
Verizon, and it's like it's on the billboard above their head when they're talking about the half. Fine. Yep. But you can't like jump to a real commercial.
Yeah,
you can't. It's a video game.
No.
Well, this is reality. You're right. And one thing we don't like about reality is the commercials. Now we understand the commercials pay the bills, and we'll put up with it. And there's timeouts, and I get it's fine.
I can go walk away and go to the bathroom.
I've accepted commercials during live sports.
Right.
I'm cool with that. But this isn't a live sport. This is a video game. I'm here to play the game.
Now, if someone in your game just happens to be using stick fix, personally don't see there, being anything wrong with that. But that's just me.
Yeah, when I load up Madden tomorrow and I see a stick fix ad, it's the only acceptable ad. The only one.
Yep.